Hello, this is going to be your first Blender tutorial on Blender. The Blender version that I'll be using today is Blender 2.92.0. This is the latest version of Blender. Sorry for the background noise, that is my ceiling fan, but I don't think it will interrupt this tutorial, so let's get started. So first, open Blender, we double click and it opens for us. We wait, then once it's opened, we click the general file under the new file section, and there we go. This is the default thing. So I want to talk about the interface. This will be talking about the interface in part 1. So here we have the cube. To rotate around the view like how I am doing now is, if you have a mouse, just hold the scroll wheel and then drag your mouse. Depending on how you drag your mouse, that's how it will drag the view. So you just drag anyhow you like to your satisfaction. To zoom in or out like how I am doing now, you scroll up to zoom in and you scroll out to zoom out. Also, you can use this by left clicking and dragging. This move the view, which is also known as panning. Also left click and drag. The shortcut for this is shift and then holding the scroll and moving your mouse. This will drag the view. Yes. Now we go to some of the gizmos here. This moving the cursor. So it's moving this red, white, blackish thing in the center, which is the 3D cursor. Yes. So once you click and drag, once you left click and drag that, you move it around. You see, then you open this panel that comes here and left clicking, and then you can drag it anyhow you like. But to move it back to this point, you press Shift S, and once holding Shift S, you come to cursor toward origin. Make sure it's highlighted first and you left click it. You should bring it back to the center. This is the move tool which helps you move the cube. But first, before you get onto that, let me talk about the axis. This red line here is the x-axis, which is from left to right and from right to left. The y-axis is from back to front or front to back. The z-axis can be shown by clicking this little arrow pointing downwards where it highlights overlays. Left clicking that and left clicking Z. You should be able to see the Z axis, which is up or down, as you can see. I'll hide that for now by left clicking it again. So if you want to move it, you press G on the keyboard and then move your mouse. It's simple. Once you want to move it over here, you just left click again and then you put it there. See? Or you can press Ctrl Z to undo that. Or you can press, if you want to move it maybe along the y-axis, you press G, then Y, then drag it. You right click to cancel or left click to confirm the action. I'll now be talking about the rotate tool. Rotating is as itself, so it helps you rotate the cube however you want. You right click to cancel the action or left click to confirm. If you want to rotate maybe along the x-axis, you rotate, do this by pressing R, then X, then rotate to how you like. Or maybe let's say you want to rotate the 70 degrees on the x-axis, so we rotate that by pressing R, then X, then 70, then press enter. You see that it rotates the cube. Maybe you like to make the cube like this for some reason. If you want to go to the front view, press Ctrl Z to undo that. You want to go to a front view, which means you want to view the front of the cube. Press 1 on your number pad on the keyboard. So once you press 1, press front view. When you press 3, is the side view. When you press 7, is top view. When you press Ctrl 7, you are viewing the bottom. When you press Ctrl 3, are viewing the left side. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Anyway, we'll talk about scaling. Scaling is making the cube bigger or smaller. So to scale the cube, you press S, then you just drag your mouse to how big you want it. And if you like to drag it on the Z axis, for example, you press S, then Z, then drag it to however you want. Or if you want to scale it twice on the Z axis, you press S and Z and 2. And then you will left click to confirm. And see, it makes the cube a bit bigger. So you press Ctrl Z to undo that. Here is the Annotator tool. I haven't talked about this. This is the transform tool, which is the move, rotate, and scale tool all combined here. This is the Annotator tool. This helps you do 2D animations within the 3D workspace. Yeah, I'm not a 2D animator, so I won't be getting into that. This is the measure tool. You left click and drag to where you want it to stop, and it measures that place for you. See, once you click, see you measured wrongly, so we'll press X on the keyboard. Go to front side view by pressing the number pad 1. Maybe let's say you want to measure from here to there. What we'll do is left click. Make sure it's at that point, left click, drag, and then you bring it over here. And that tells us it's roughly 1.999999399. You press X to delete the ruler. This is a new feature of Blender 2.9 2.0. This is the add cube. So with this, you left click it. And once you say want to put it here, for example, you left click, then drag to how big you want it. Then release the left mouse button. Drag it upwards to how big you want the cube to be. Maybe I want it this high. Then say this high. Then you left click again. And then you've got your cube. Just Ctrl Z to undo that. Next, I'll go back to the select box tool. This helps you to select items. This thing is the lights. Yes, as in the lights in your room right now. This can also be, this is the camera. You press 0 to see what the camera is doing. You just press 0 on your number pad to see what the camera is doing. Okay, next we'll go into edit mode. So you left click the cube. From object mode, you go to edit mode by left clicking this panel or small rectangular box and go to edit mode. Okay, we've already talked about these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've talked about these 9 tools, so now we'll be talking about these, which is Extrude region. First, before we get into those tools, right now, as you see here, you are in vertex select, which helps you select vertices. Or like this is a vertex, and if you select 2 of them, they are called vertices. This is the plural form. So if you want to select 2 of them, you just press 2 or more of them. You hold shift, then left click. You select 2 of them and you can handle them anyway. This edge select mode. It helps you select edges of the cube by left clicking anywhere. This is face select mode. It helps you select faces. This can also be good. So maybe I would like to delete these 3 faces by shift selecting them and pressing delete. And then you see it brings up this panel, delete vertices, edges, faces, only edges and faces, only faces. I would like to delete faces, and then you've got this open cube, like you can see here. I'll press Ctrl Z to undo that and left click elsewhere. So now let's talk about the extrude region tool. So once you select the face, I want to extrude part, just extrude this and it makes the cube longer, but it shows you where it started from with a black line. Remember, you can still select these lines. The same thing with this. It also helps you select faces. Ctrl Z to undo your actions. This is the insert faces tool. It inserts a face onto a new face like this. You just left click the button and drag. If you also extrude the face downwards, you get something like this. And see, this is looking like a box. It's quite nice. Press Ctrl Z to undo your actions. This is the bevel tool. It helps you make rounder edges. So maybe I want to bevel this edge. Press Ctrl and B. You see, make something like this. Set, maybe you want it to be this big, and then scroll up to make it smooth. And see, you got this. It can be very nice. Ctrl Z. This is the loop cut tool. It helps you create cuts. As you see, as I drag my, if you left click, it creates a new edge or edges. See, as I'm dragging my mouse around, it's showing me where I can place them. I think I'll just go to the select box tool. This is the knife tool. It says cut new topology. So you can access that by pressing K on the keyboard, pressing and then left clicking. Once you want to say that's enough, press enter and see it creates a new edge. It can be quite good at times, but I don't use it personally for most of my projects, so I'll just cancel that. This is the polybuild tool. I don't know what it does. All I see that it adds random vertices, and I don't get how it's supposed to be used for. I will just Ctrl Z to undo my action. This is the spin tool. Helps you spin. So let's say you select the surface and would like to spin it. You click on one of the handles and drag it along the circle there. And see, you are spinning the top face. You see, the reason why we are getting this hatching lines is because faces are intersecting with each other, which is not good. So you just press Ctrl Z to undo what we just did. If you press A and go to the smooth tool, it makes your cube round. See, it's trying to smooth the tool, but it's not doing so because you don't have enough geometry to do that. Maybe I'll show you more in my next tutorial, but for now, this is what I can show you. So you just Ctrl Z to undo your action. This is the edge slide. It helps you slide edges. So we'll go to edge select mode. Select one of these. Select the edge slide tool. All you have to do is left click the yellow button here, and then left click and drag. You see what it does? Maybe I want to create this shape, and here we are. We're creating some sort of shape. It looks like a Lego piece actually. See how nice this is looking? Ctrl Z to undo your action. This is a shrink or fatten tool. It shrinks or fattens your line. If you left click and drag, you see how it's shrinking or fattening it? See how this looks like? You can press Ctrl Z to undo that. This is the shear tool. Once you do that, just left click on any of these axes or whatever. Left click and then drag. I don't know what it does. I haven't seen it in action really. See what it's doing. Press Ctrl Z to undo that. Let's go to vertices select mode and talk about the rip region. This helps you to rip apart the cube. As you see, you selected these two lines. If you haven't selected, just select this and then shift and select this. Now we want to open the cube right now. What you have to do is make sure your cursor is in the middle region of this. Left click and drag. And you see we are opening it. You see what you've done here? You can now see inside the cube. It's looking pretty nice. Press Ctrl Z to undo your action, which you close back. So now I'd like to talk about these panels here. This button is the Extrude mode. You can access that by pressing Alt and Z on your keyboard, and it shows you that. See, you're able to see what is inside the cube. That is why it's looking like this. So if you place something inside of it, you'll be able to see that. This is wireframe. It is a type of Extrude mode, but this shows you the geometry within the object you've selected. So I'll go back to solid view. This is how solid something can look. That's why it's called solid. In this button here is material preview mode, which previews the material you are going to use before rendering. Rendering is when you are transforming this source code, which is the code which is showing what is shown on the screen right now, to a picture or a video form. That's how I understand it, at least. So if you want to change the color of the cube to maybe something like green, let's click this ball that looks like a beach ball. You see that it has a new material, already has a material. Left click on the white color and change it to a bright green. And see how green this looks like? Yes. So now you are going to render the image as you see on your video, as you see on your screen right now. This is the image we are going to do right now. So let's get into it. So you go to rendered mode and we see that instead of being like this, it's rather like this. This is because of the light here. You see, when you select this, it comes here and you can drag. Once you drag this value to maybe we enter 3000, press enter. You see, it becomes brighter. 7000, it becomes even brighter. Or put it back at 1000. So right now you're getting ready to render an image. You left click the cube and left click the camera. Press G, Z, and then 1, and press 0, and see that the cube is there. So now I want to add a floor. So I'll press Shift and A, or you come to this add menu here. From the mesh panel, select plane, which is kind of like a square. Once you see that, you only see the orange outline. You can scale it by pressing S, then typing 20, then enter. See the cube here? Okay. So now, this is the render engine Eevee. It is for games. It's used for games. Yeah. It can be quite good. If you really have a lot of knowledge into Eevee, you can use it to become close as cycles. I mean, if you change to cycles, it makes it photorealistic, which makes it as if it was actually there. But for those who don't have a good computer, we'll be using the Eevee for now. So right now, we want to transform this code into an image, a PNG image. Once you left click this output properties, you see it will render as a PNG. Once you come here, we'll left click render image, which means to render the image. And you can see here. See, we have that cube. If you like to save it, press Alt and then S. You see Blender pops out this new window, Blender Render and Blender File View. So select where you want to save it at. I would like to save it here, and then just left click what I would like to save it as. I like to save it as cube and press save as image. So that is your tutorial for today. Hope it really helps you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.